ordered the ceiling go nuts. And he sounded
Well, hey, like I said, new year, new us. Welcome back to AubynAussie Talk Cross, episode unlucky number 13, the 2022 season preview. Again, two goofballs in love with extreme sports who happen to both participate in ice cross downhill. My name is TJ Albrecht, broadcasting from Minnesota.
I was Crash, broadcasting from Brisbane, Australia.
We want to thank you guys again for joining us. We're looking forward to plenty of laughs today. Really short episode, right to the point. The 2022 season. COVID's really, again, throwing a major curveball into everything. Aussie, what do you think of the season plans so far?
I'm actually just excited they have some races on. Like they're doing, for people that don't know, they're doing the same thing they did last year. So they're setting two divisions. There's an American race division and then Europe. So yeah, I think it's exciting that we've still got the chance to race this year. It'll be interesting to see who comes back and who gets to the top. There's been some very interesting training from a lot of the people I've seen on social medias in preparation for this. So it should be very exciting to see who takes that top spot. So I'm just honestly excited there's races, and I'm just excited that, it's happening.
It's funny you mentioned training because the training really has been all over the board, right?
It's been a shit fight.
I've seen yourself, having to quarantine through work and stuff like that and having to do workouts in hotel rooms and in, Malaysia, the middle of nowhere. And then, you got guys like Levi Nakari, who's got his track in his backyard that's been frozen over for the last, well, I don't know if it ever thaws out in Finland, but
I'll ask the boys when I get there.
And then you have us here in the States who really don't have much of anything going on. So my training's been, this. So
it's why we do gravity sports.
Cheers.
Gravity does most of the work for us. It's okay.
I love it. But you mentioned the two different divisions that we're going to have, same as last year, a little bit of an Eastern and Western division. I believe we do have a graphic of the schedule for the 2022 season, and it will look something like starting, let's see, today is January 5th.
It's starting the January 6th.
Oh, yeah. 6th for our Aussie friends. That's right. You're a whole day ahead of us.
People on the correct side of the world. Yep, it's the 6th today.
But so starting on the 16th will be the first race, which will be located in Unenberg. Following
you mean
weekend,
the 15th?
15th and 16th. AubynAussie,
I can't
we're the
count.
most professional at being unprofessional and doing our research. Am I right?
Yeah, I'll agree with that one. Yeah, it's pretty bad. I literally studied that graphic like 10 minutes before we started this too.
Hey, that's all right. 2022 season though, 6 races. First one's Unenberg. Following weekend, second one right back in Unenberg.
I think that's going to be exciting having a back-to-back race at a track.
It's going to be, well, obviously a lot of the same athletes should be there, right? But the competition is going to be out of this world like it normally is at every single race. But you're right, having it in the same spot back to back, there's going to be a lot of things that people do that first weekend that they may change that second weekend, and it's going to just change up those standings.
Oh, I completely agree. Having that much time on a track is going to make for some incredible racing. Like most Red Bull weekends, you get practice night when you first get there. Thursday night, you get 2 practice runs. Then Friday mornings, 2 practice runs, 2 qualifying runs, and then you race. So having countless many hours on a track, many more hours on a track, compared to a normal Red Bull weekend should be pretty exciting. I'm interested to see the qualification times differences between race weekend 1 and 2. That'll be a big show to see how having time on a track helps in the sport. But yeah, it's going to be some interesting racing weekend 2. Because people, as you said, people are going to do things race weekend 1, be like, shit, that didn't work. And then give it a try race weekend 2, mix it up a bit. But if you come to race weekend 2 and you miss race weekend 1, you've got to be definitely behind the 8 ball. So I think that's one downside to having back-to-backs. If you're not there for the first one, you're pretty buggered for the second one. But if you if you're there for both, you'd be having some good fun.
I think you
Plus,
nailed it.
less travel, so much cheaper. Like holy shit.
You could just spend a whole week in Austria just after the Christmas market. So it really couldn't be more beautiful.
Yeah. Like I'm pumped. It's nice not to have a travel between race weekends. And actually, hoping they open the track up during the weeks for some practice runs, just to bump up the skill. Because it'd be fine. This will be coming out just before. So what I've heard is that the Austria track is the same as last year. They couldn't get any licensing agreements to extend it or expand it or change it. So it should be interesting. It is what it is. It's the same track as last year, so it should be good for the guys that raced it last year. It'll come down to just what happens this year and who trained. Thankfully, it's a big body track, so hopefully with the gut we got here, it should be good for us. But just got to learn to stop again. I honestly haven't been on ice skates forever. Like I put them on and went ice skating last week for the first time in probably 6 months. Actually, probably longer than that. And it is always forget how hard that first time on the skates is after you've been off them for a long time. Especially because I've been rollerblading. There's been nothing but rollerblading.
And those first couple runs downhill on ice are brutal.
Well, I remember my first time in Austria. Like my first time I went to an Austria track, it was Wagrain, I believe it was. And like I hadn't been on ice skates for probably about 6 months before that first practice run of the day. And I couldn't get around the first corner. Like I literally couldn't turn. I just completely forgot how to turn on ice skates. And I was like, fuck. No, but I've learned my lesson. I got on some skates beforehand, and feeling good.
So besides those two in Udenberg, Austria, and then obviously our one at Montulac, which has been, I mean, the hill has been such an asset for us just for the U.S. Ice Cross Association. We've had one there for how many years? So that's obviously going to be a great race. But then it looks like after that, the first weekend of February, they're having one in Radolampi. And then really from then on, the next weekend, they're supposed to have a race in Czech. And then the last race of the season that is scheduled right now happens to be in Alpe de Suisse, which would be in Italy. So I know we had already chatted previously just a little bit before the episode here. But what are your plans for the season for 2022?
So my plans are I jet set out of Australia probably on Tuesday. I'm literally booking flights as we speak. So that's why if I'm looking away, it's because I'm actually looking for flights popping up. So doing Austria, Montulac, so is in the air. These are all back-to-back weekends too, which is the best thing about this season, I think. Having back-to-back races, like each weekend is so good without having a break in between because you don't have to try and figure out where to stay for a week. So we'll see. We'll try to get to Montulac, depending how that goes. If not, I'll stay and head to Finland a week early and get some practices in there. Just honestly, just get acclimatized to the cold because Finland is fucking cold. And then,
you're not lying.
Nah, then it'll be, especially because like literally today it's 30 Celsius plus. Like it's a hot day today. So I'm going to be freezing my tits off for sure. And then, see if everything goes well for the rest of the world. I'll be Czech and then Italy. And then it'll be back to the real world for a year again. Act like an adult, unfortunately.
Act like an adult. And then, that 7 or 8 months will fly by. And then we're already looking at 2022, 2023 ice cross season, right?
Oh, fuck. Yeah, time flies by when you're middle of nowhere. Like I know there's one project they're looking to put me on, which is in the middle of Mozambique for 12 months, and I'm like, that time's gonna fly by.
Well, I'm still just excited, and I think you already said it, but I'm happy that ATSX, and ice cross, the sport itself, launched a new world championship this season. Despite everything that's been happening over the last 2 years, especially with COVID, and with how hard it is to actually put on an ice cross event, pending weather and travel and athletes and everything like that. It really goes to show the amount of dedication that people have who put on these events, right? So it's really cool to see. Obviously, Marco out in Austria has upped his level every single year, just like us here in the States. This year, having our race at Montulac, we're only hoping to improve on anything that we've done in the past. So I know we already have the track preview. We have it on our website. We have it on YouTube. And things like that. So if you've ever been hesitant and you don't really know what you're getting yourself into, head over to the website, check it out. We've had people from 6 years old all the way up to about 80, 85 years old try it out. It's really for anybody who just wants to have a good time going down a track. If you have a background in skiing, snowboarding, hockey, downhill biking, doesn't really matter. Come out and give it a shot. I'm sure Aussie will tell you, just like me, when we first got started, we had no idea what we're doing. I still honestly don't really know what I'm doing.
I'm like, I don't think that's a past tense. It's just current tense. We still have no idea what we're doing.
But you know what? Come out, sign up, come down the track a couple times, and then hang out in the chalet with the rest of the boys and the gals. It's really a great time. It's one heck of a weekend, and you get to meet some really awesome people.
Yeah, most race weekends are pretty exciting. They're pretty intense, but the people that you're there with really make it not as stressful as it really would be if you were, by yourself.
That is true. That is true. And well, at least for someone traveling to races, it's obviously not as stressful, but for someone who's putting on races, it might be a little bit more stressful.
Hey, that was your decision, buddy. There's no fucking violence over here for you.
There's got to be some of us that do, otherwise you won't be able to race.
There's plenty of green grass outside. I can try and ice skate down.
Ice skate, rollerblade, whatever you got going on over there.
Rollerblades. Always rollerblades.
But I mean, are there, at least on your end, do you know of any other additional changes for 2022? Not that I'm really aware of.
Only real changes I'm aware of is that there is no World Invitational this year. Well, I think they're trying to do one, but it hasn't come to fruition yet. And all races are a 250. There's nothing above a 250. There's no 500, there's no 1000. So actually, you'll know about this one. Red Bull are not on board for 2022, if I'm correct.
Yeah, that is correct. If not mistaken, Red Bull Global had a lot of changes, things like that. So they will not be participating in any ATSX races moving forward. They may or may not have a small presence in Russia, but that's Russia. They kind of do whatever they want to do anyway. So that may open the doors for the sport of ice cross downhill moving forward, which for us as athletes is extremely exciting. That means that opens the doors for numerous amounts of companies and things like that. So, I'm very excited to see what 2023 and even the next 2, 3, 4 years bring, especially here in the United States. Cale Johnstone, tremendous asset as a president for the U.S. Ice Cross. And I know he's been working day in and day out, burning the midnight candle, doing whatever he can to really just put on more than one event, especially here in the United States. So again, just really excited to see where the sport goes in the next 2 to 3 years.
I actually think you're right there. Like with the money Red Bull usually put into a sport, it blows a sport up. But for them to leave and us still have 6 races is still huge. Without the financial backing of Red Bull, to have people willing to put the time and effort and the sponsors jumping on board where they can for each individual country to help them put events on, it shows that the sport wasn't just running on funds. There's a pure passion behind that for a lot of the people that do it. So I think it's huge that they've jumped out this year, but we've still got 6 races around the world. So
yep, and it's a positive, right? And like you mentioned, they're all 250 races, which I'm completely okay with. As a 250 race, that really opens the doors to any new athletes who've never even tried it before, because those tracks generally are more favorable to the amateurs or people just starting out in the sport. Obviously, you may get a couple of those international riders who are professionals who have been doing this for a decade or so. But those are just the guys that you can kind of lean on, ask questions, get some tips, and just become a better rider yourself. So 2022 really is going to be a season of a lot of new riders coming into the sport, which is what we need. It's refreshing. And, and then kids cross, it's really starting to gain traction across the world. Poland's been having it. Czech's been having it. We have had it here in the US just on the Sundays after the event. So this year again, we'll be doing that. So really looking forward to getting the kiddos involved and really the future athletes of ice cross.
Just reading the notes you have here, because again, we are the most professional, unprofessional people around.
Wait, you have notes?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where these came from. I didn't do it. Rulebook changes allowed to slide this year.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, that rule book change was enabled starting last season as well. So sorry, for those of you that may not know, from the beginning of the sport, when coming in the finish line, you used to always be able to slide or stick your feet out as if you were sliding into home base at baseball. They went away from that rule for the last 2 or 3 years for the safety of athletes and riders. Essentially, first person coming in or second person coming in through the finish line wasn't paying attention, and that next rider was trying to slide for position, and they were, tripping each other up. So they got rid of that rule, but what ended up happening, it was too tough to decipher, those close calls. Yep, what's a slide, what's not a slide, who had their toe in first, things like that. So
I think that makes sense because it used to be they classified a slide as an uncontrolled entry into the finish line, something like that. So if you were uncontrolled across the finish line, it was classified as a slide. And the reason
DQ.
and then if that happened, you got DQ'd. Happened quite a bit actually for something that could honestly for something that could be a normal step across the line, but then you lose control after the finish line. If they see that as you are uncontrolled the whole time, then you get a sneaky DQ. And that matters because the way the race ends is on the first part of someone's skate blade to cross the line. So you can obviously see why sliding has its advantages in the race there. I think it was in Yokohama last time we raced there. Nas got cut in the finish line from Crocs, from one of the Croxels sliding in. Yeah.
Yep.
You got a little nick on the lower arm. So, but again, that's the sport.
That is part of it. And I think that's what the ATSX is getting back to is they're bringing back, that's what everyone wants to see at the finish line, right? Are those close finishes, that action, those crashes. So enabling the slide at the finish line, I think, is a good call. And honestly, that may or may not be really the only rule change in the last 2 or 3 seasons that I've seen. I know people are kind of transitioning more from hockey gear into the ice cross gear or more of that downhill style for equipment. But other than that, rule wise, sport really hasn't changed since Japan or Boston.
No, well, that's good. It's like nothing needs to change. I do agree with the move away from the hockey gear. Like I run downhill mountain bike helmet, motocross chest plate, shoulder pads, spine protector, and then hockey bottoms, and then actually use motocross knee pads because they articulate in 2 points. So like when you bend your knee, it actually holds to your knee, which is fantastic. Because if you've ever fallen on hockey pads, you know that when you fall and you bend your knee, the actual like the knee cup will actually like flip up, and then you're exposed on the top. And I've just hurt myself 2 times doing that.
Which, see, when you're playing hockey and you're just landing on a flat surface, is probably fine. But if you land off a jump or coming into a jump on your knees and they're bent and that top of the knee is exposed, goodbye knees.
Yep. Yeah, it's not good. It's not good. If anyone wants to know what the plan for AubynAussie this year is, we're going to just try and get an epi out for each race. Because I'm going to be all the Europe ones, as many as I can. Touch wood. And then I know TJ's going to be in America, and hopefully I may be in America as well. We'll give you some live action from the events.
I think that's what AubynAussie is needing right now is something, well, A, where we can do an episode together in the same spot, but B, just add a track. We need some feedback from people there. We need some riders. We need some interviews and things like that. So very exciting stuff to come moving forward. Again, this is Unlucky episode number 13, the 2022 season preview. So yeah, just excited that. Again, we're able to race this season. There are things happening, and I got my fingers crossed that nothing serious happens in the next 3 to 4 weeks here.
Yeah, not wrong. I think, and if you guys want to see anything on those next episodes, feel free to comment below, like what you want to see. If there's any races you want us to interview, if there's any behind the scenes you want to see, particularly, let us know, because we'll be there and we'll be running around like chooks with their heads cut off. So What's another thing to add to the list of shit to do at a race weekend?
Right, exactly. But thank you again for joining us again, for sticking with us. For those of you that are just joining us for the first time, don't forget to subscribe to AubynAussie. Questions, comments, business inquiries, ideas for future episodes, go ahead and hit us up at AubynAussie@gmail.com. You can reach me on personal at Aubby1987.
Yeah, you can catch me on everything at Aussie Crasher, and you can also buy Aussie Crasher hats at aussiecrasher.bigcartel.
It looks like leading into episode 14 should be the start of a race weekend right around there. But for right now, it's obviously your favorite Ice Cross Ginger and your favorite Ice Cross Aussie signing off for now. And until next time,
All downhill from here.